This is a stimulus update and daily news report, and we are coming down to the ultimate stimulus showdown between two powerful Democrats. We have Joe Manchin saying that 3.5 trillion is too high, wants to bring it down to 1.5 trillion. Meanwhile, Bernie Sanders is saying 3.5 trillion is the lowest he's going to go. He already came down from $6 trillion. What is going to happen next? I'm going to play video clips from both Bernie Sanders and Joe Manchin talking about each other, talking about the packages, what's going to happen moving forward, because if it doesn't pass at 3.5 trillion, there's many other Democrats saying that they're going to tank the infrastructure, which is the physical infrastructure, the $1 trillion package. So what is going to happen next? We'll also talk about Nancy Pelosi's new timeline, speedy timeline, according to this article, and when we're going to see things finally happen. I'll give you some other more important updates, then I'll answer the questions you leave for me in the comments. Hope you're having a more than mundane Monday. If you appreciate these fact-based, fast-paced updates, hit the like button down below. So as many return to the office, tensions flare between the vaxxed and unvaxxed. And I wouldn't even just say the office, I would say this country in general, and perhaps even the world. It is the vaccinated versus the unvaccinated, and it's a very heated topic. It's almost like the Democrat-Republican issues have been very heated and has divided our nation as of late, but now a new topic has divided our nation. It's the vaccinated versus the unvaccinated. Let me know where you stand with all this. Do you believe in vaccination, unvaccination? Should we all get along together? I try to keep all this news pretty neutral and let you know what's going on without taking either side. So a hospital says it won't deliver babies after staffers resign over coronavirus vaccine mandate. So this happened in upstate New York, and the hospital announced that it will stop delivering babies this month after several staffers in the maternity department resign over the hospital system's coronavirus vaccine mandate. We've seen this a lot. I think the first hospital to have this happen was in Texas. Probably going to see a lot more of this as vaccine mandates start to roll out. People are going to just quit their job because they don't want to take the vaccine. Should there still be a vaccine choice given what's going on in our current conditions? Let me know your thoughts on that down in the comments below. Now, it seems that the vaccine sort of works for the new variants, and it seems that the new steps moving forward is more vaccine, because we have Israel preparing for possible fourth COVID-19 vaccine dose. So what's happening here is Israel is the most vaccinated country in the entire world. And a lot of the whole world is basically looking at Israel to see what to do next. They had the lowest rates of COVID, maybe besides some smaller islands and New Zealand. But in terms of a country the size of New Jersey, they've pretty much had it under control. But they've had several spikes happen lately due to Delta, and they had a third booster shot given out. Now they're preparing for a fourth. Is more vaccination necessary? Is this the solution to it? Well, we're going to find out. Israel seems to think that that's the next big thing. Let me know your thoughts on that down in the comments below. Next, let's talk about what's going on with this stimulus showdown. So Joe Manchin and Bernie Sanders at odds over 3.5 trillion budget resolution. What is going to happen next? Joe Manchin bluntly states he won't vote for Democrats' reconciliation bill. Bernie Sanders thinks he'll come around. So I'm going to play you video clips from both Joe Manchin and Bernie Sanders right now. First, Joe Manchin, where he stands. Then I'll play you Bernie Sanders, and then I'll give you some other more important updates after that, including Nancy Pelosi's timeline. Here's Joe Manchin first.
Your party leader, Chuck Schumer, says he's moving, quote, full speed ahead with this package. Will he have your vote?
And that's fine. He can. He will not have my vote on 3.5, and Chuck knows that. And we've talked about this. We've already put out 5.4 trillion, and we've tried to help Americans in every way we possibly can. And a lot of the help that we put out there is still there, and it's going to run clear until next year, 2022. What's the urgency? What's the urgency that we have? It's not the same urgency that we have with the American Rescue Plan. We got that out the door quickly. That was about $2 billion, $2 trillion. And on top of that, all the things we put out with the CARES package, everything leading up to that. So we have done an awful lot, and there's still an awful lot of people that need help. But you have 11 million jobs that aren't filled right now. 8 million people are still unemployed. Something's not matching up. Don't you think we ought to hit the pause and find out the vulnerability that we have, Dana, right now? We don't know what happened with this COVID. It's awful coming back the way it is with a vengeance. We don't know about inflation. We know it's running rampant right now. I can tell you in West Virginia, inflation's running rampant. And on top of that, the challenges we're going to have, geopolitical challenges. Shouldn't we be prepared?
So I want to ask you about a lot of that, but are you saying it's the price tag, it's the timeline, both?
It's the urgency. Do we have the urgency to do what they're wanting to do in such a quick period of time?
But can you be specific? Okay, let's talk about the dollar sign.
Yeah.
Do you have a specific number in mind?
Here's a number you should be getting to. First of all, I have agreed to get on to the reconciliation because that's the time for us to make financial adjustments and changes. I thought the 2017 tax code and tax law, the way it was changed, was very, very, very unfair, and it was weighted to the wealthy.
So what's the number?
And the bottom line is what the number would be what's going to be competitive in our tax code. I believe that the corporate rate should be at 25, not 21.
But what's the overall number for the budget bill?
I think that you're going to have to look at it and find out what you're able to do through a reasonable, responsible way.
So then how do you know that it's not 3.5?
It's going to be at 1, 1.5. We don't know where it's going to be.
So you think ballpark 1.5?
It's not going to be at 3.5, I can assure you. But with that, whatever it is, once you have a competitive tax code that you can compete globally, and then you should look at what the need is. What's the urgency and the need that we have?
And I want to get to that, but just because this is the thing that people consume. Do you have a ceiling?
My ceiling is this: the need of the American people, and for us to basically take in consideration inflation. Mm-hmm. No one's concerned about the debt. You know, our debt as of Friday was $28.7 trillion. And we're not even talking about that. No one's talking about that.
You just said 1.5. It sounds like 1.5 trillion.
I'm just saying that basically, I've looked at the numbers. If we have a competitive tax code from a non-competitive, it doesn't help the working person that was done in 2017, that's in the 1.5 range, okay? If that's where it is, shouldn't you be looking at what does it take now to meet the urgent needs that we haven't already met?
Okay, so let's talk about how this would be paid for. The White House Chief of Staff, Ron Klain, told me on this show last week that you are, quote, very persuadable on this budget bill because he says it will be paid for. It won't add to the debt. It won't add to inflation.
Well, if you're paying for it with inflated numbers from the standpoint, is the tax code, the numbers that they're wanting to pay for it, and the tax changes they want to make, is that competitive? Does it keep us competitive or not? I believe there's some changes made that does not keep us competitive.
Meaning don't increase taxes on corporations?
No, I want to increase taxes on corporations. I've spoken to corporations.
So what specifically are you saying?
I want the wealthy to pay their fair share. But if you're up higher to the point to where you are that can be competitive globally, then it's going to be counterproductive. Everyone's looking at this in a whole complete different way than I think maybe I am or other people are just keeping quiet. The bottom line is, do we have the urgency to spend another $3.5 trillion right now? The most urgent thing that we have to do is get the bipartisan infrastructure bill that's gone left unattended for over 30 years.
Let me know your thoughts on what Joe Manchin just said. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Anybody agree with Joe Manchin? If you look at any of the comments in any of my videos, Joe Manchin gets a lot of hate. But does anybody agree with Joe Manchin on this? Let me know your thoughts on that down in the comments below. Sanders says Manchin not supporting Biden's spending package is not acceptable. Of course, Bernie Sanders not happy about this. Bernie Sanders wanted it to be as high as $6 trillion. And he feels like in his mind, he came down so much from $6 trillion down to $3.5 trillion. Here is what Bernie Sanders has to say about Joe Manchin and the package moving forward.
First, your colleague, Joe Manchin, just explicitly told me repeatedly he will not support your $3.5 trillion reconciliation bill. He wants to see something more in the ballpark of $1.5 trillion. Is that acceptable to you?
No, it is absolutely not acceptable to me. I don't think it's acceptable to the president, to the American people, or to the overwhelming majority of the people in the Democratic caucus. Look, we worked with Senator Manchin to pass the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan, which was enormously consequential and helpful to working class families in getting us out of the economic disaster that befell us as a result of COVID. I believe we're going to all sit down and work together and come up with a $3.5 trillion reconciliation bill, which deals with the enormously unmet needs of working families. You know, we've got to lower the cost of prescription drugs for people. We've got to expand Medicare to include dental, hearing aids, and eyeglasses. We have to maintain the $300 direct payment we're giving to working parents which have lowered childhood poverty in America by 50%. And I'll tell you what else we have got to do. The scientists will tell us that we got a few years left before there will be irreversible harm to our planet if we do not address climate change. And the truth of the matter is, Dana, as you may know, many of us made a major compromise in going from the $6 trillion bill that we wanted, supported by the overwhelming majority of Democrats, down to 3.5. And the last point that I would make on this, I know that Senator Manchin worked very hard on what's called the bipartisan infrastructure bill, $550 billion of new money to rebuild our roads and our bridges. What we have worked on is working both of those bills in tandem. They go together. And it would be a really sad state of affairs for the American people, for Congress, if both of those bills went down.
Do you think that's possible, that that could happen right now?
Yeah. I don't think it will happen. I mean, I think, look, this is a very difficult issue. What we are trying to do in this bill is more significant for working families than any bill probably since FDR and the New Deal. I mean, we're talking about expanding Medicare. We're talking about making sure that no working family in America pays more than 7% of their income for childcare, making pre-K universal and free, putting a huge amount of money into affordable housing, creating millions of good-paying jobs, home health care, you name it. This is a consequential bill. It is hard to put a bill like this together. At the end of the day, I believe we will.
Okay, and I want to ask you about more of the substance in a second, but the other thing that Senator Manchin is opposed to is the timeline. Chuck Schumer wants to have a draft of this reconciliation bill done by Wednesday. The House Speaker committed to holding a vote by September 27th. He said that's not going to happen, full stop. Are you willing to give it more time?
Well, I mean, a few days here or there, it doesn't matter. But there is a sense of urgency. And the sense of urgency is that we live in a country today where the wealthiest people and the largest corporations are doing phenomenally well, while working class people are struggling all over this country in terms of health care. You know, you got 90 million people uninsured or underinsured. People can't afford to pay prescription drugs, can't afford to send their kids to college. Kids are leaving school deeply in debt. You got almost 600,000 people in America who are homeless today. And you got the climate crisis. You know, Oregon is burning, California is burning, Siberia is burning. You know, people are dying in floods in New York City, unprecedented rainfall. There is a sense of urgency, which I think the American people understand. And what they want is finally, maybe, just maybe, the Congress of the United States will act for them and not just for the wealthy campaign contributors and the rich and the powerful, who, by the way, are pouring huge amounts of money. The drug companies, the insurance companies, fossil fuel industry, huge amounts of money in trying to defeat us.
What do you think about what Bernie Sanders said? Do you agree, disagree? If you look at the comments in any of my videos, Bernie Sanders usually gets a lot of love in the comments compared to Joe Manchin. But what do you think? What do you think is going to happen here? Are they going to come to an agreement? Let me know your thoughts on that down in the comments below. Let's talk timeline. When are things actually going to start happening? Seems like it's just been months drawn out. I remember back in the day when there was a June 1st deadline, and we've blew past that months ago. What's going on here is that Pelosi pushes speedy timeline to pass massive spending package. So what is this timeline? House Speaker Nancy Pelosi told fellow Democrats in a visual conference call on Friday that she hopes to begin consideration of $3.5 trillion social welfare spending package as soon as September 20th, the day lawmakers return from their summer recess. Basically, they're going to come back from vacation and hopefully hit the ground running and start working on this. And now September 20th is when they're going to start to consider it, but Senate Democrats are on track to finish writing legislation by September 15th, Pelosi told Democrats, which leaves two chambers in a position to complete the package quickly. Quickly and Congress, two words you don't really hear too often in the same sentence. So today is the 13th, and which means the 15th is in 2 days, on Wednesday. Will it happen? We'll see. Also, I wanted to mention what's going on with Joe Manchin and how he responds to Ocasio-Cortez, also known as AOC, saying continue to divide. So what's going on here is AOC tweeted this: Manchin has weekly huddles with Exxon and is one of many senators who gives lobbyists their pen to write so-called bipartisan fossil fuel bills. It's killing our people. It's killing people, our people, at least 12 last night. Sick of this bipartisan corruption that masquerades as clear-eyed moderation. So basically calling out Joe Manchin, saying that working with Exxon and fossil fuel lobbyists to write the bills, what Joe Manchin and how he responds to this is, I don't know that young lady that well. I really don't. I've met her one time, I think, between sets here, but that's it. So we have not had any conversations. She's just speculating and saying things because she wants to. And so basically directly responding to whether or not he's working with Exxon fossil fuel lobbyists, he says, absolutely not, absolutely not. I keep my door open for everybody. It's totally false. What do you think? What do you think about the situation? What do you think about Joe Manchin working with Exxon and lobbyists? Do you think it's true? What do you think about AOC calling him out for that? I'm not sure if she would mention that, without any base behind it. But Joe Manchin is denying it. Also, AOC threatens to tank infrastructure bill without Dems' $3.5 trillion spending plan. It would give me pleasure, is what she says. So not just AOC, but also a lot of other Democrats are threatening to tank the $1 trillion physical infrastructure bill if the $3.5 trillion does not pass. So that puts Joe Manchin in a position where he could throw away $1 billion going to his wife's commission, because that was in the first package, the physical infrastructure package. So everything could just be washed down the drain, and all of this could be for nothing. It really all depends on what's going on with Joe Manchin. Also, I mentioned this the other day. So Senate Democrats could send seniors $1,000 cash vouchers to buy expanded Medicare benefits next year. That would be in the $3.5 trillion package. Also, the potential $1,400 stimulus checks for seniors would be in that $3.5 trillion package. A lot of different potentials here that could be in that $3.5 trillion package that, I don't know, it could just all blow up. Let me know your thoughts on all of that. Next, I'm going to answer the questions you leave for me in the comments. Lisa Conley: why should seniors get $1,000 vouchers plus $1,400 stimulus checks? People on SSDI should get that too. So it seems that now we have families or people with kids getting stimulus. Now it looks like seniors are the next favorite in terms of getting the vouchers, potential $1,400 stimulus checks. SSDI, completely left out. I agree with you on that. Laura McGuire says, what about Tennessee? So Tennessee, the only stimulus that I know is that they have the $1,000 stimulus checks going out to teachers as of now. There could be other programs coming up in the future. Next, Sue Ward: what about senior citizens that are not drawing their Social Security as of yet? So if any seniors that are not on Social Security are not going to get that potential $1,400 stimulus check. To be clear, it's not official, the $1,400. It's a proposal like many other proposals that I mentioned. They're trying to get it in there, but it's not official yet. But it does have a lot of steam behind it. Next question comes from, how do I get rental assistance? I live in Georgia. So if you go to nlhc.org, National Low Income Housing Coalition, that's where you'll find it. Or if you type in rental assistance Georgia, you could find it from your county or the state in general. And this just goes for every state in the country too. So type in rental assistance and your city, town, county, and state, and you should be able to find a program. You could still apply for it now, actually. And that is all the stimulus news I have for you today to hopefully cheer you up a bit. Here's my daughter Bella's tip of the day.
Hi guys, this is Bella. This is the tip of the day. I want to tell you something that you should do. So every time you make mistakes, you make mistakes, and you only have one life. So clean those up and make a new world. And also, what you should do is you should always be passionate with what you have, because that next time it won't be there.
Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of your support. If you want to check out any of my other videos, you could click up here. So this is my Wise Sense and Wise Vibes channel. The Wise Vibes is all about motivation and inspiration. Want to add more positivity to your lives and YouTube. And then Wise Sense is also about personal finance, how to make money, how to invest money, basically become more financially literate. So click this link up here and it'll take you to either one of those channels, or click down here for more stimulus updates, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, be safe. Thank you for watching.